with all the technical difficulties,
And
you
here
guys just want to
we
watch.
go.
What's up?
Okay, we're recording now.
Oh,
Okay, and how's it going?
Okay, it's working, finally, after all that. Alright. Okay.
okay. Before anyone else, I was preparing the cats for their next little goodies treat,
Alright.
and
Okay.
hopefully I'll lock myself out again.
That's what the fake rock is for.
Yeah, but it doesn't have an actual key in it.
Alright. So, welcome one and all to the first episode of the Easily Distracted podcast. I decided to start a podcast because, well, why the hell not? With me are my co-hosts. Uh, uh, First one is Blood Witch Raven. Say hello.
Hello, I got cake. I made it earlier. I wish I could share, but
All
there's a
right.
literal distance between everyone else and me.
And next is CyperTyger, who some of you hopefully will know as a streamer. Say hello.
Hello, this is CyperTyger, VTuber extraordinaire.
Uh,
Hopefully.
What are some of the games that you play, brother?
Well, I'm a variety streamer, so whatever I can get my hands on, I can, just play. But usually just play visual novels and RPGs so I can voice act them.
All
the
right.
Doki Doki.
No, not that.
All right. A staple on the show is going to be Remembrance of Ancient Memories, where all of us will take a turn per episode, where we will recite the plot to a game or movie we've played in the past or seen and haven't touched it since, and have to be as detailed as possible. So our first episode, we'll start with CyberTyger here, who will retell us the plot to the first season of Digimon.
Well, I'm glad you asked. Oh wait, was that my cue?
Well, I was going to ask, let's go around the table and what was everyone's first encounter with Digimon? Since this is going to be your bit, why don't you start?
Well, obviously, since it's a classic anime, quote unquote, it you know, it was one of the first cartoons, anime, anything I've ever seen, and obviously I fell in love with it because I've watched both Pokemon and Digimon at the same time, and I just felt more connected with Digimon. Also, it's better. Don't at me.
Sorry. Uh,
Uh, Raven, how about you?
when I actually first got introduced to Digimon,
Yeah.
it was actually during second season from a former friend that used to live in the neighborhood I'm at. I don't remember where exactly, but I think it may have been like it introduced Mimi, like older, but yeah. I don't remember where in the season, but it was probably still during the whole the Digimon Emperor saga, so yeah.
Well, I got introduced to Digimon probably right at the start with Fox Kids.
Mm.
I loved it, especially like the PlayStation 1 game where you had to raise your Digimon. I tried so hard trying to get Greymon, but it just the dice would not give it to me.
Fox
Uh,
Kid, the pinnacle of the '90s.
All right, so let's get started. Craze, if you will, recite to us the plot of the first season of Digimon as best as you can remember it, as detailed as possible. The floor is
Well,
yours.
first of all, the name was Crux. That was my old name before something happened and I had to change, but let's not get into that. Let's get right to the brass tacks. The first season of Digimon, the very first pinnacle of said series, because it all starts when a group of kids go to a camp on summer vacation. But then some strange things started happening around them, it starts to snow in the mountains during summer. Is it coincidence or is it destiny? I don't know, because seven of them ah, got suddenly hit by some meteors, but those were meteors. Those were what we know as digivices. And then when they received them, they got teleported into the digital world, where they met their Digimon partners. I could name them all, but I'm not sure how much time we have.
Well, we got all day, man, or all night,
Okay.
as a matter of fact. I mean, I told you, like, as detailed as possible.
Okay, well
There's no
then,
rush.
let me name the first seven main characters. There's Taikamiya, the leader of the group. Matt, the second in command. TK, his brother. Izzy, the smart one. Joe, the frantic older medic. Mimi, the girl. Sora, the other girl.
That's the best you can come up with, Mimi, the girl.
I didn't want to say Valley Girl.
She's more of a fashionista, but that's probably just me.
Well, they don't really show it in the series, but well, not until the second season. But anyways,
Point taken.
they arrive and meet their partners mm, in their baby forms of Curse because it's Koromon, Sudamon, Pokemon, Montimon, Tanamon, Pyoromon, and who am I missing? There,
Uh,
did I say
Wait.
Tanamon? And Yokomon. There we go.
Okay.
Isn't that their in training forms?
They're in
Yeah.
training, yes.
Yeah, but tends to be known as baby forms.
Well, baby
Yeah,
and in
potato,
training are
tomato.
two different forms.
Yeah, the babies when they hatch straight out of the eggs, but we'll get into that later.
Oh,
Okay.
that explains the whole train two and cyber sleuth.
Yeah, that's actually how they say it in the original Japanese, but let's not get into it. Nah. Well, after being introduced by their partners, they get into some sort of scuffle, which makes their Digimon digivolve into their iconic rookie level forms, being Agumon, Gabumon, Tentamon, Biomon, Palmon, Gomamon, and Patamon. And from there, the series progresses as the team grows stronger, their Digimons grow stronger, and so do all of their bonds together. And throughout the series, they meet their first big bad, Devimon, and well, hopefully there's a spoiler warning in this, but after they defeat him,
Digimon's been around
uh,
for about 10 years. If you don't know anything about it, it's your own fault.
well, people still bitch about
The remake.
spoilers for Harry Potter, so
Yeah. Aerith dies.
who's Aerith?
Final
Exactly.
Oh,
Fantasy
in
Seven.
Final Fantasy? Yeah, okay. I was
Right.
like, is
Concerning
there an Aerith?
there's yeah, I was gonna ask, is there still a debate between the names Aerith and Aerith?
I don't know. I
I
don't
don't
care.
know.
All
I
right.
always thought it was Eartha, but
Uh,
let's get back on topic.
you don't remember enough to go episode by episode?
Well, episode by episode. I mean, probably, but it'll be scuff and also,
Well, that's the whole point
uh,
of this.
yeah, but I want to get directly to the point because the side stories, episode by episode, aren't that important. It's entertaining to see, and it's nice to see how episodic it is and how every episode and story is interconnected. But there are
Yeah.
some episodes that just do their thing.
Or
Okay.
more or less sticks out for your as a personal favorite. So it's mostly a bias abridged version.
Yes.
All right.
Well,
Or if you're
anyways,
like me, your shit memory.
back to the matter at hand. After meeting Devimon, the first big bad, and defeating him, they're introduced to the next big bads, Piedmon and his Dark Masters, Piedmon, Puppetmon, Metal Seedramon, and what was this? What was the other one? Machine Draymon. Hmm.
Metal
Oh,
Seedramon is my absolute favorite.
oh,
Hmm.
sorry. I was thinking of the monkey Elvis.
Oh wait, yeah, I forgot about
Edamon?
Edamon.
Yeah, Edamon.
Yeah, it is Edamon, and then the Dark Masters.
Metal.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah. So after Devimon, it's Edamon. So each big bad represents well, not represents. It takes quite some level of power to defeat each of them. So, in every arc in between big bad villains, every character achieves that level of evolution because everyone's Digimon had to achieve champion form, and then they beat Devimon, and then everything up to Edimon is their Digimon training up to be ultimate form, all of them, which is when they receive their crests, which they didn't know at the time because these crests represent the Digidestins as a whole. Because uh, Digidestin is as it sounds; it was their destiny to come, and all of them represent a virtue themselves that that all children should have uh, to be their truest selves. Like,
Some of them struggle with it more than others.
yeah, like the leader Tai. When he received his crest of courage, he confused courage with
Abandonment.
what mm, recklessness. That's what I was saying. But when he chose to actually have true courage, uh, then uh, Agumon's true powers were revealed, and then he digivolved into his ultimate form, Metal Greymon, and
But
so on and so forth with the other Digidestin and their Digimon. Uh,
like
Matt with Matt is friendship, Sora is love, Mimi is sincerity, Joe reliability, um, TK is hope, Izzy is knowledge, and who am I missing?
What was mad?
Matt was
friendship.
friendship.
Oh,
Did I say Sora?
Kyrie.
Oh no, she's the eighth child. I was about to get into her. Uh,
Oh,
uh, Ty,
okay.
Matt, TK, then Joe, Mimi, Sora.
Like, can we all get respect the fact that because of Ty's recklessness, Agumon turned into Skull Greymon, who's just the baddest motherfucker on the block?
Yes. In for that specific arc, there is a few specific episodes for that arc where Tai was pushing Agumon into trying to evolve into the ultimate form without learning the secrets of the crest, which made
Well, sports
Agumon go
speed.
through yeah, which forced Agumon to undergo the negative side of Digivolution, being a different branch that is very hard to control, and that is Skull Greymon, his darker ultimate form, aside from Metal Greymon.
Hmm.
Can we all
Oh,
just respect that of just like Digimon just have no set path of what they will become? So it's like it's not like Pokemon where it's just oh they have this, it's going to turn into that. Some of them are
mm,
like possibly this, but Digimon's like just because you have this doesn't mean it's going to turn into this. It could turn into like five other things.
yeah, and so is
First
a
it.
representation of life. You never know what you never know what's going to be thrown at you or what you're going to turn into.
Like the
You might
Sistermons.
you might digivolve into a Numamon. Who knows?
Also, was it ever
Or Black
explained
Gabamon.
how come it was the Digi Destined when they finish the fight they turn back to rookie sometimes in training, but other ones who have no human partner they can maintain their champion and ultimate forms?
Well, you see, uh, what's that word I'm looking for? A constant theme in the Digimon series is that naturally Digimon without Digimon partners get stronger through experience and training and such by themselves. So they have that inner power to digivolve by themselves. But
Pokemon.
Digimon with
There
human
are stories.
partners, their evolution is accelerated because of the strong bonds they share. But when they do achieve that level of evolution, it was because the strength of their bond, quote unquote, forced it, and then they have to go back to their natural state, which was either their rookie form or whatever form it was before they digivolved.
So
Like
a partner
Pokemon.
Digimon, their Digi evolution is stronger but temporary.
Yes.
Yep.
So if Ty's Agumon turned into Greymon, it would beat the hell out of an Agumon that's just in the wild and achieved Greymon on its own.
Yes.
Okay.
What was I? Oh yes. So after getting their crest and achieving their ultimate form, they faced Edamon, a weird monkey. In the English version, sounded like Elvis Presley.
To be honest, that's literally what he's referencing as.
Yes.
You know, he's a shit singer.
Yeah. So after defeating Edamon, a lot of hijinks ensued because Tai was temporarily able to go back to the human world, but with Agumon and without the rest of his team. On August 1st, which is proclaimed officially, unofficially, potato tomato, Digimon Day, which it was August 1st recently.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
that's nice. So on August 1st, Tai returned to the human realm and met his sister Kairi, who was sickly and was supposed to go to camp with them, but because of her illness, she had to stay behind. And after that, Tai started seeing random Digimon phantoms because they weren't really there appear in the human world, which meant that he himself was witnessing the merging of the human world and digital world, which cannot happen or else both worlds would be destroyed.
Didn't
Because
Kyrie also see them too?
yes, she did. Because uh, fast forward a bit, when they met up with a digital sage named Jedi, he told the team that there was an eighth child, a child that represented light, and that was Kairi, Tai's sister. Later in the series, when uh, the kids finally were able to exit the digital world, but when they did, it was the same time and place when they entered the digital world. This time, their Digimon partners came with them.
Wait, why was that?
What was that?
Why was it they spent like months in the digital world and they come back and not 1 second had passed?
Time moves strangely in the digital world, which is also a common theme in between the series, is because that also happens in season one, season two, season three when they go to the digital world. Um, they didn't really come back in season four to the human world, besides that one instance, but that's a little iffy. Season five, Data Squad, they did do a time explanation kind of thing. It's just time in the digital world moves faster than the human world because
Like,
you know how they say computers think faster than humans.
yeah,
Obviously,
but like,
computers are light years ahead of human thoughts. So
yeah, but like,
in its
the human world hasn't moved at all, and yet months had passed in the digital world. That is light speed time.
yeah, because it's an homage to how fast computers actually move and
All
how
right.
they actually think.
You
That
want a
kind of
real
thing.
example? Go to one of the episodes of Camp,
Oh
where
yeah.
oh
Also,
god, I can't
when
remember the
Tai came
characters.
back to the digital world,
Hmm.
wasn't the team split up?
Yes,
Yes, they did actually split up because that was the arc where they all had to find their crests because Ty was the first to find his, and they all went through trials and tribulations that tested their specific virtue.
as well as just felt like unsure if they felt worthy of their crest.
Their crests, their partners, their destiny, everything.
Yep. Which
So
there was like
after
a
all
lot
this,
of dark moments in there, wasn't there?
yeah, like that moment when Izzy found his crest, he was thrown into a void of unknowledge, which meant he was forced to unlearn what he
Learn.
uh, well, no, unlearn the kind of experiences he had endured because he wanted to find answers so badly. But he held on to knowledge because, how am I supposed to explain this? Because his virtue was he can think his way out of any situation if he kept to what he knows, his knowledge, that kind of thing.
They got attacked by poo.
Yeah, that
At least
too.
I think it was.
The one champion that
So
no one wants to deal with.
no, yeah, Sukamon. Hmm. What were we
But
talking about? Oh, anyways, after
the
all their trials and tribulations to reach their ultimate forms, they return to the human world with the help of the digital sage Jedi, in search of the eighth child, because another big bad by the name of Myotismon, an ultimate form vampire Digimon, was hunting down the eighth child to use their powers of light, to try and take over both human and digital world.
and this is why Digimon tends to be better at Pokemon. They're the only ones that actually deal with actual human looking creatures.
Yes. Mm. So after they enter the human world, we're introduced to Devimon and Gatomon, which are the Myotismon's right-hand men. Uh,
Oh, one of
and
them.
well, no, both of them, because Myotismon found Gatomon. And, like, so, when they entered, multiple Digimon were sent to find the eighth child, but Gatomon found found her, which was Kairi. But she felt a strange connection to her because, since Kairi was the eighth child, she would have had a destined partner. But we learned in that arc that Gatomon was supposed to be that destined partner, but in the escape of everyone's Digi eggs and crests, she was lost. So she spent years and possibly millennia in digital world time just waiting for someone she didn't even know until Myotismon picked her up. And after going through those set of trials, trying to get used to normal human life with their Digimon back, uh, and trying to find this new big bad Myotismon and defeat him. They found him, defeated him, and whatnot. But it didn't end there because Myotismon was only one level below the the next big bads of the arc, which were the Dark Masters, Piedmon, Metal Siegramon, Puppetmon, and Machine Draymon, the Mega level Digimon, and the final evolutionary level of Digimon. Hmm. So, being megas, it's would have been very uh, hmm, difficult, and each of them put their powers in what was known as the Destiny Towers, which was a huge spiral that connected the human world and the digital world. And if was left unchecked, the two worlds would unite. And Piedmon was led to believe that when they did, he'd be able to rule over, but he didn't know that it would destroy both worlds. So after they were introduced, um, Myotismon somehow came back. I can't remember how he did, but
Oh wait,
he returned as Venom Myotismon,
oh
which
wait,
was
didn't he? Was this in the? Was it? I feel like it was in the second season, but wasn't he the one that was like there was all the Digimon in the real world, so he sent like all those bats to feed on all the Digimon that were beaten in the real world, and that's how he got his form back.
I don't remember that part
I think it was
because
sheer willpower and hatred, but eh.
maybe because in the I remember something different in the second season, but uh, Myotismon, who was in ultimate form, returned as Venom Myotismon in his mega form, uh, and was about to destroy Odaiba, which was the home of the Digidestin, like their city in Japan. But after learning of a specific, um, I don't know, uh, some specific
Prophecy?
script in the destiny of said Digidestin, Ty and Matt were able to unlock the mega forms of their digital partners, Agumon and Gabumon, digivolving them into their mega forms, being War Greymon and Metal Garurumon.
Those
Yeah,
things were
they also had
so
like the warp
awesome.
Digimon.
Yeah, both of them. After they defeated Venom Myotismon, they were uh, then again needed in the digital world to defeat the Dark Masters and stop the fusion of both worlds. Hmm. And seeing as though the only Digimon that they had that were able to digivolve into Mega at the time were Metal Garurumon and War Greymon, uh, they were pretty much essential in defeating them. But uh, when they went back to the digital world, they got separated, and Matt went his own way for some reason. I can't remember.
It was more or less he felt inferior to Tai,
Hmm.
more or less into different different opinions about how leadership. Matt wants to be a bit cautious. Also, he's very protective of TK,
Yes, his brother.
I love
and
that
Tai is
part
just like,
where he just comes in with Metal Garurumon, finds Puppetmon and just eviscerates him. Not even a fight,
Yes.
just one shot dead.
Yes, he was very vicious in that specific arc, but you know. Um, so
and a bit of a
after
stalker.
defeating after uh, they got back together, they worked together to defeat said Dark Masters. Hmm. Uh,
And
and the the Destiny Pillar was then crumbled, but it revealed something darker, being the destruct code of the digital world and the human world. One Digimon called Apocalypse. Now he was lying in wait in the digital world ever so patiently, uh, because he is the culmination of negative emotion and deleted data from the human world, and he festered in the digital world, right in the pocket dimension in between both of them. He wanted to destroy both worlds because he was made from that very negative emotion. So he wanted to just use all of that negative emotion that he was made of, all that power that he accumulated to destroy both worlds. But
just because he wants to.
but after realizing that the Digidestin would have to sacrifice the power of their crests to stop the fusion and end Apocalypse, they did just that. They sacrificed their crests and also severed the connection between the digital world and the human world, which means the Digimon would have to say goodbye to their ultimate forms, and the humans would have to depart from their digital partners. But
Not for long,
that was the price they had to pay to save both worlds and everyone, happily ever after.
but
Until
doesn't
Digimon
last for
2.
long.
Yeah. And that is my synopsis on the first season of Digimon Digital Monsters.
What is your overall opinion of the first season?
Obviously, it holds a lot of nostalgia and love from me because it was something I absolutely loved as a child. But if you revisit it now as an adult, things don't age well because back in the 90s, they didn't. Well, they did. They had a huge problem with censorship, and
Yeah,
the English voice acting back then was really not at the level it is nowadays.
yeah.
So,
I mean, some were
if you
good,
watch it,
some were bad.
yeah, if you watch it now, it might be a little boring
Cringy.
and dated. Now, I understand all the flaws of said series, but I overall love the series, flaws and all, because uh, it's this isn't why I love it, but it's very underrated because it's being overshadowed by Pokemon,
Me?
who we
Oh,
obviously all know.
Yeah.
But as Cosmic usually says, you know how
but
fame
what?
corrupts.
Yeah. You think you're too big, but still, because of it being overshadowed by Pokemon, is actually Digimon's biggest strength. Because there's
Yes,
so little of Digimon coming out, that means its fan base will always be hungry for more. Whereas that's
and
Pokemon's
it's
greatest weakness is oversaturation.
and uh, the quality is a lot better because the writers, the team, and everybody, they get a break in between seasons and, have time to think things through. Pokemon, they have they have a season every year. After the animation after every game is the same game over and over again, and people notice and people are critical, but that won't stop them from playing. But Digimon, it holds up. It has the kind of quality you
Yeah.
want.
Plus, it can just become absolutely absurd with like how powerful these things can be. How a little T Rex can become a machine dinosaur that can fly and waste mountains.
Big same.
All right,
And there's also the remake.
Oh
so
But
yeah,
I
the
did
remake.
watch an episode of it
for the first
um
season,
in sub.
would you recommend like showing it to somebody?
Hmm,
You
not
mean like
quite sure because people who watch it nowadays are probably people who like the nostalgia factor. But if
yeah.
people are interested in knowing the origin of Digimon, then yeah.
True,
Like
but
Eh,
it's
then
not
again,
something you just jump into. It's something if you're curious or if you want to, you do it.
it might hold
I
up
only
better than you
recommend
think. I mean, look at
uh,
anything from like the 80s. Fist of North
Hmm.
Star, Initial D, Gans,
JoJo.
Berserk.
Jojo, yeah.
So it's like they withstand. Like they have their jank, but people can appreciate it because you kind of have to go in of like this was the era it was made.
Hmm.
I
Um,
only recommend it if someone actually watched the remake.
Hmm.
So how about the our cast? Because a story is really not all that great without characters to be able to carry said story.
Hmm.
So if you will, one by one, if you'll go by the Digidestined, and what you think about their transformation from start to finish.
Hmm. Well, starting with Ty, obviously, because he's the leader. He represents courage, right? And as a leader, he would need a lot of it because he has to lead the Digidestined team and everyone, and he has to make sure everyone's in a that kind of mindset that they feel safe and able to go home. And he does a pretty good job of that, but he and Matt butt heads every now and then. Obviously, with the dynamic because Matt's usually second banana, but you get used to it.
Every
Um,
leader needs their right hand man.
yes.
Well,
So
then they're about polar opposites, so you know what they say about that.
actually, I read this article that was pretty interesting. They said that Ty and Matt got each other's crests because Ty is able to form long running friendships and actually be good at friendship. And Matt, being the lone wolf one, had the courage to go on by himself. But I
Huh.
feel like if that were the case in the show, it wouldn't have been as interesting because everyone had to struggle with their virtues. And if it was something they were good at, like something they were just naturally good at, it wouldn't have made for a good story.
If
Yeah.
Matt had the crest of courage, he probably would have soloed the Dark Leaders.
Same with Ty, because friendship would be
Oh,
very strong if
how
you could hold
strong?
on.
How strong? Well, with Ty being able to make friends, how strong would his power be if he had the crest of friendship? He wouldn't be leading a team; he'd be leading an army.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like the the stronger they hold on to their virtues, the stronger their bonds and Digimon that would be.
Hmm. All right.
It's because they
Um,
struggle with these virtues that make the story interesting.
And
all
helps
right.
with character development.
Hmm.
All right. All right. Next
Because
one.
there's this, uh, so I'm still on tie because when he
Sorry.
went into the when we were in the arc with Edamon, he was the first to get his crest, and that said episode where he unlocked this potential. He was in a bind because in a previous episode they were told that their real bodies, quote unquote, are still in the real world, and whatever happened in the digital world uh, would not have any physical effects on their real body. But Izzy brought up the possibility of that being extremely wrong. So
Yeah.
that made Ty very anxious and very fearful.
Yeah. Like that cop out of don't worry, it's just
Yeah,
a
because
dream. You'll wake up from the
Yeah.
oh,
shock.
well, yeah, then he had like that whole gamer meta mindset.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
it's
that
just a
mindset,
game. We'll have an extra life and all that.
that kind of thing. But when that possibility was brought up, and he had to put his hand through an electric fence just to make sure it was a fake trap, he was struggling because with one, he didn't want to die, but on the other, he had to get out of that pyramid he was in to help his friends. So he chose courage over doubling over in fear, and that's how
And
he
also to save Sora.
yes, and that's how he reached his full potential with his crest being courage, and that's what
Well, he,
allowed Greymon to digivolve into Metal Greymon. Now with Matt, he had quite the challenge because another Digidestin, Joe, he was working at a restaurant because he was indebted to them because they didn't take his money. It was a whole thing. But Matt volunteered, like a good friend, to help work off the debt. But then this Digimon called Digitamamon put in uh, Matt's head that all the wrongdoings that have been happening, the sabotage around them is just Joe because he doesn't want to be here alone, and that tested his trust in his friend. But at the end of the day, Matt decided to give that trust uh, into his friend Joe, and that's what allowed him to achieve his crest's true potential. So those are the two main characters, courage and friendship. Now let's go to their siblings, TK and Kyrie, because
yeah,
in all actuality, their virtues are pretty circumstantial. TK's being hope and Kyrie's being light. I don't think they actually did put too much writing into their struggles because I can't remember a single moment where they were struggling with either hope, and as of light for Kyrie, that's more of a um whether or not she'd be able to keep the team spirits up, which she was,
Isn't that what
but
hope is?
hmm,
Like hope. That's what keeps the team up. So what exactly is light supposed to be emotionally?
light, uh, like it's gonna sound weird, but the light within one's heart, and to fend off against the negative darkness. Later in the series, we were introduced to gentle darkness, which you know, potato tomato. But the thing
Yeah.
is,
well,
use the bridge between what is positive and negative, mm,
I guess it's
because
more of a
light can
symbol.
also be a bad thing. So she
I,
represents the good light, and
I was,
TK is representing hope.
I kind of want to say he did kind of lose hope in the one episode where he was in the amusement park and Demi Devimon wanted to keep him there.
Oh yeah, he had to have hope in Tokomon because he believed that Tokomon was abandoning him.
Like how Matt did.
Yeah.
Yeah, but after he became Angelmon, he was an egg for a while. So, like,
Yeah.
TK looked after you while you were an egg. Like, if
Mm.
that ain't love, I don't know what is.
And speaking of love, there's Sora.
Well, to
Uh,
be fair, he's how old was he?
like,
8.
yeah, I think 8.
So he kind of has a good reason, considering most kids tend to act like that. But you know,
Well, that's why children are chosen and not adults because they're still growing and they can grow with their Digimon partners. If you were to pick an adult, they'd be pretty close-minded and wouldn't grow at all.
That's some Narnia shit if I ever heard any.
Yeah, childish innocence stuff like that. But onto love, there's Sora. She
as
had
both Madden ties Sim for.
well,
Sorry.
yeah, but
Well, I know
that's later in the series.
a lot of the
She
season, Sora worked in the background to make sure everyone had the what they needed to progress.
mm,
Yep.
but like with her Chris being love, she had to understand that people show love in a different way because she there was something in her past
Her
kept her
mother.
from
Oh, sorry.
acknowledging love in all its forms. When her soccer team needed her, her leg was very injured, and she wanted to go support. Well, not support them. She wanted to play, but her mother wouldn't let that happen because obviously you shouldn't do strenuous physical activities with an injury. But when she was younger, Sora didn't understand that. But when she did, she just understood that her mother was looking after her because she loved her. There's love of friends, love of family, not just romantic love as we all see in usual media, but
The,
that sort of thing.
the idea
So when
of
she
love,
acknowledged that,
the idea of love is to find people you're willing to support, just go all in for.
yeah.
Hmm.
Hmm.
And plus,
So when she reached that,
she
her partner was able to digivolve into Garudamon, the ultimate form of Biomon.
Awesome, by the way.
Yeah.
uh, and yeah, her
Um,
family owns a flower shop, so
yeah. Moving on to reliability, being Joe. Um, Joe has always struggled with being reliable because he is the oldest of the group, and but he is by far the most lily-livered,
her. Oh,
cowardly.
Clumsy.
right.
Yeah, clumsy. Even though his dream is to be a doctor, which he has to overcome a lot. But when it came down to brass tacks, when the team really needed him the most, to trudge up a mountain to get uh not to get to defeat an enemy along the way that was blocking their path, he felt responsible for everyone because he was the oldest. So he had to be the most reliable, and he trudged right up that mountain and faced him head on.
And the fact that he sort of okay, I'm trying to remember the one episode about Mimi since she was kind of a bitch in one episode.
Well, we'll get to Mimi later.
Also, his Digimon's champion form was just so cool.
It was like a seal, a giant seal.
Covered in fur and shot its horn like
Mm.
a missile.
You mean a
But
walrus?
oh yeah, walrus. That's what I was thinking of. Yeah. But when he did trudge up that mountain to face the enemy, he uh, he he understood that he had to be reliable himself. But to be reliable, he has to rely on others, being Gomamon, his partner. Because how can people rely on you if you're not able to rely on them? And when he learned that while Gomamon was fighting by himself up there, and he rushed up to save him, give which he realized how reliability is a two-way street. So that gave him his true potential, and Gomamon was able to digivolve into Zudomon.
And the fact he's the only medic in that whole team.
Yes. Uh, right next to Joe is Mimi, the crest of sincerity, which means, in a sense, sincerity means being true to yourself. Um, and while they were separated, Mimi stumbled upon a castle of Gekomon, and they discovered that her voice was able to awaken their king. I forgot his name.
Uh, yeah, I forgot it too. I know he has
He's a,
a weird design for like
yeah,
tubas on it.
he's a big red frog with tubas around him,
Yeah,
but you know. But
I think more a
after
toad, but
after a while, she started getting really greedy with the Gekomon because she knew that they needed her voice to awaken their king, and one thing led to another, and it led to her being quite the spoiled princess.
a tyrant.
Yes, she pushed away everyone that was wanting to help her, including her friends, including her partner Palmon. But it was only because she was tired of struggling in the digital world that she let go of her true self in the favor of living comfortably in that castle where everyone listened to her and she's a princess. But that wasn't her. That was just her being weak. And after a scene where Palmon decides to cut ties with Mimi, she realizes that what she was doing was wrong, and she owned up to her promise and awakening their king, which led to a fight because the king was grumpy about being woken up or something. I don't know. But
No,
after
that
that
was it.
realization,
He was just pissed that he got woken up by a cute girl,
hmm,
like an asshole. But
hmm,
maybe he didn't like her singing voice though. Which, yeah,
but
Palmon digivolved into
Lilymon,
yeah.
which is like a cute pink little fairy,
I
that
want
kind
to.
of thing.
Every time I see
Not
it,
to
I
be
keep.
confused with Liliamon.
Every time I see it, I want to keep calling it Piximon, but I know that's not true.
Now
Because there's already a
Little
Piximon
Piximon, the little head Kirby looking guy.
Could
with a
you?
But
spear.
Can you believe that thing was an ultimate too?
yeah, well, some
Yes.
ultimates are weird. Hmm.
Yeah.
Like Marine Angemon's a mega. Hmm, that's weird. So who are we missing? We did Ty, Matt, TK,
Izzy.
Ari, Sora, Joe, Mimi, and Izzy. Yes. Lastly, Izzy, who represents knowledge. I can't remember much from his debacle because it kind of confused me. But from what I
Oh,
understand, he had to let go of the basics of what he knows to understand things further. But that would mean letting go of all of his past experiences, all of his knowledge up until now. That includes his friends and being a Digidestin. But
which ends up turning into a sham by fuck, I can't remember this one Digimon. It looks like an actual hentai
Datamon,
brain. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay, maybe not actual hentai, but oh
yeah, pretty
god,
much
this is gonna end up
But
encouraging a lot of the Rule 34 folks.
let's see. Well, yeah. After understanding that all knowledge is precious, no matter how trivial and how much it might hold you back, having said knowledge and everything in his arsenal, that pushed him to being who he was and learning what he does now. And yeah, that's all the Digidestin.
Well, he
Uh,
did also have like a little sort of character development from when he returned to the real world that apparently he was adopted by his folks, which they kind of worried about, telling him the actual truth that he's adopted and all that,
Oh
even
yeah,
though he
well
knows and
that's later in the series.
also,
yeah.
also, Izzy had the coolest Digimon in rookie form.
Yeah, Tentamon's pretty cool. All right, so uh yeah, that's it. Uh, was there another topic?
Oh, I guess one more. Um, so, to anybody who would want to see the first season of Digimon, what would you say to encourage, and what would you say of like the headspace you need to be in when you watch it?
Well, just, obviously nowadays it's aged like cheese. So just go into it with an open mind and I guess childlike innocence. And you just see it for what it is. A nice show about kids discovering who they are and developing unbreakable friendships along the way. That's all it really is.
Okay.
Yes, and as I said before, those who've actually watched the remake but never watched the original, go watch the original if you've seen the remake,
All right.
and
Yeah,
you be the
yeah.
judge of like
From
comparing the two.
understanding
And
from
no, we're not.
where it is now from where it is before.
Yeah, and no, we're not going to discuss the remake.
I haven't seen,
Unfortunately,
I haven't seen it all yet.
I don't think
I
any
only
of
saw
us
one
have.
episode. I haven't gotten a chance to get back into it yet.
All right.
Well, it was subbed, so I mean, from that episode, that's actually pretty cool. Considering it made me feel like, oh wow. I mean, it makes you wonder, like, what would they look like if it was like from Cyber Sleuth, which
Probably.
All right.
damn good transition.
All
I'm
right.
gonna have to say.
All right. That's all the time we have for our first episode. I would like to thank my co-hosts for joining this.
No prob.
Yeah, but no problem. And next time on Trash Tastes,
You had to bring that
Uh,
up, didn't you?
I don't know.
All
I
right.
don't even know what that is. Is that a Game Grumps reference?
Not. I'll tell you after.
All right.
Okay.
For our next episode of Diving into the Past, we will be looking into something from Raven's past. Raven, you got something in mind?
A Kil- I'm gonna butcher the name. A Kogage, the Shadow King. And be prepared for a very, very abridged version because I have a shit memory.
I know nothing, so it'll be interesting.
Alrighty.
The
Okay.
game is actually on PS4.
Any last?
Oh
Unfortunately, it's
no,
not on Steam, which sucks, but oh well.
we'll get into that later.
Any last words? Uh,
Uh, support local businesses. Uh, watch me and my two personas on CyperTyger channel. That's twitch.tv/CyperTyger. And support VTubers in general because we're awesome. We're taking over the world. And yeah,
Yet.
and if you don't support my friend, I will find your address. I will go into your house, and I will be very disappointed in you.
Hmm.
All right.
All right. See you all.
Well, be careful of your hentai.
Had to bring that in for the last word, didn't you?